There's one for New York for you. Hey, it's the Bob Shaw Show. It is, yes, Thursday night. Hey, listen, everybody, smile. It's almost the end of the week. You know, hey, listen, it's time to rock. It's time to dance. It's time to treat your life like your life. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my guest that I'm going to have on right now. She is, first of all, unbelievable. But we'll get to that part a little bit. Her name is Françoise E. She's an author, an educator, conference presentator, magazine columnist, performer, and yoga and movement for the mind certification trainer throughout the United States, Mexico, and Europe. Françoise has been a leading innovator in the fields of yoga, stress management, body-mind fitness, dance and movement therapy for over 30 years. Her passion is to motivate others and use education as a resource for creativity, inspiration, and transformation. Through her company, Body/Mind Dynamics, she teaches the movement, body-mind approach as a path towards mental health, physical well-being, and emotional growth, and spiritual integration. Her expertise allows each participant to contact his or her inner state of creative awareness, choice, and purpose. Françoise uses her gift of insight and intuition, coupled with compassion and humor, to dynamically guide individuals to the best part of themselves. And you know what that is? It's your heart. So, to the world, may I introduce Françoise E. Françoise.
Hello, Bob. How are you?
There you go. I hear you loud and clear this time.
Great.
Oh, yeah. The what we were saying that before, Annette, when we were saying we had a little bit of an echo before. You know, it's funny though, because all week, you know, one day Annette, you get it a little bit, and one day you don't get it a little bit. We got sunspots going on, we got the moon going on, we got planets coming into the solar system that are not supposed to be here. Who knows? You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, hey, look, cha-cha-cha, let's go.
There you go.
There you go. It's one of those things. All right, now, something that, and I didn't bring this up in it before, but I'm going to do it now. You're an author, an educator, a conference presentator, a magazine columnist, a performer, a yoga and movement for the mind certification trainer throughout the United States, Mexico, and Europe. When do you have time?
Well, you got to understand, this has not all been done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, though. I mean, this is like, wow. You know, I thought I was, crazy when people used to come in my room at 5 o'clock in the morning saying, "Did you pack your bags yet?" And I was like, "What? I got to get on a plane? What?"
Well, you know, the important thing, and I really do live this, is balance. So I don't do it all at one time, and I think that is the biggest message: is how do we create balance in our lives and let that extend out into every area.
Wow. So, tell me about the countries you go to. I mean, let's face it, you're going to a whole bunch of countries. Do they, I mean, is this something that you're sort of, what we do on this show, we spread the word?
That is definitely the goal, and that's definitely the intention, is to spread the word and to spread it so that people live it.
In what country?
Well, we're starting here in the U.S., in Mexico, and we're extending it out to Europe.
Okay, so you're going to where in Europe? You know, the reason why I'm asking you this is because now this is a lot of this, and I'm going to get into it in a minute. A lot has to do with exercise, and a lot of it also has to do with dancing, moving the body, moving, everything around, getting them hips greased up, kind of, sort of. I mean, these are things, I mean, if you look at Germany or you look at, any of the middle countries net over there, they know how to rock.
the middle countries? You're talking about like Spain, or you're talking about Italy?
I'm talking like Spain, Italy, Greece, Germany, as I said, and you go in that direction. England kind of sort of, they're still thinking about it. But, when you go backwards in that a little bit, it's crazy. I mean, I get their music in that all the time from over there, and it's great stuff.
Well, it's what's true about Europe, I believe, is that they're much more connected to culture, and they're much more connected to the soul. And because of that, dance is included in that. But the work that I do takes not only dance, the creative aspect dance, which you might call just rock and rolling, but it brings purpose and intention into it. So it's slightly different, but I agree with you. In the Latin countries and in parts of Europe, there's a much more sense of being less mental and less intellectual, and much more going with the rhythm of the body, the rhythm of the soul.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
They actually, I mean, if you watch some of the people over there, I've seen some of the videos of some of the bands that are over there, and then the people that are dancing, they are so free. It's like they just let their body just go. And
we definitely in the U.S. don't do that. I mean, we do when we're drunk. We do when, if they're entertaining drugs involved. But no, you're right. There's much more a sense of restriction. And in the book, what I talk about is that in our Western culture, we tend to separate mind and body. And certainly in certain religious sects, there's a great sense of the body is secondary to the importance of the mind. And in this work, what I do is I bring them together as an integrated whole and allow people to experience who they are through the wisdom of the body. We have forgotten the wisdom of the body.
And that is? This is where I'm getting with this, okay? You also had a lot to do with yoga and stress management. Now, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but yoga and stress management has a lot to do with dancing.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful way to say it. I would say that stress management and yoga are aspects of movement that integrate the mind with the body.
There you go.
So in that way, yes, absolutely.
So, I mean...
we tend to think of what we do in this society is we tend to compartmentalize things. So if we think of dance, we think of either the kind of dance that we have, like Dancing with the Stars, or hip hop. We think of dance as a separation between the audience and the participant. Or like with Dancing with the Stars, it's something where you're doing it with a partner, you're doing it, you have to have certain skills to do it. And we tend to look at yoga and stress management as more mental. Certainly with the yoga asanas, hatha yoga, that's a physical exercise component, but many aspects of yoga are about calming the mind. What we don't have in the West, and what I have created through this work called Movement for the Mind, is an integration between what we think of as dance, as creative, and the purposefulness of the mind, of taking the two together and integrating them so that you can have intention in your movement, so that you can come up with a purpose or a theme, or you can use this work for healing.
See that now you're getting to my neighborhood. I mean, this is something. There are so many people. I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you look and I'm just going to touch this for a second, just so you get the idea of where I'm going here. If you look at TV enough, you're going to be in a frame of mind that you are not going to feel like dancing. Or if you drive in traffic, this is good for you. I know you're going to laugh at this one. If you drive in traffic down here in South Carolina, you will feel like committing suicide yourself. Because it's like being in, there could be nobody on the whole street. There could be nobody on the highway. You could have 5 cars in front of you. The speed limit is 60. They're doing 35, and it's like being in L.A. at lunchtime.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's so many things that weigh down on us all the time, on our bodies, on our minds, and everything else. There is something that everybody needs, some type of a release for all of this. And what you're teaching is that release.
Definitely one aspect of that. And I think if I have a platform or if I have a soapbox that I stand on, I just taught a class of educators last night, and it doesn't really matter what the title is, but what I have found that in our society, the good news is that we've advanced so far technologically, but the bad news is I believe we have segmented our lives to such an extent that we feel like our foot's going one way, our head's going somewhere else, or our arms are going somewhere else, and that is so true in our lives. If you're stuck on a freeway, if you're just living life itself, spending 12 hours a day with work, there's no place where you can bring all of you together and experience that sense of stress relief. And in this work, it is the ability to not only move the body and to feel free like you were talking about, but then you also quiet the mind to an extent where you can just listen. You can listen to what I was talking about earlier, the wisdom in the body, to that quiet place that has all our answers, where we do heal, where we do know where to move next in our lives, where we know that we have choice. So in a particular movement, for example, in a particular movement for the mind session, we start with just breathing. We start with an inventory where we look at how we're feeling. We look at what the body's doing. We look at what the mind's doing. But we do this quietly and through guidance. And then we begin to work with our boundaries, and then we begin to work with movement, and then we work with a theme. And this is where I've worked in corporations and at certain universities with MBA students where we work with purpose. So that's how you can integrate it together, and especially for stress management for a number of reasons. This technology really, really works.
You do a lot of, as you said, Nat, you do a lot of, actual corporation work and things.
I have in the past, yes. I'm currently not doing that right now, but I've done a lot of work with corporate executives. And the wonderful thing that you were talking about in terms of movement and dance is that there's sense of freedom. There's that sense of the child. And it doesn't matter if you're 60 years old and you're in a 3-piece suit or you're 5 years old, there's still that part of us that needs that playfulness and that childlike quality, not childish, but childlike quality. And we forget that. We forget that we are at our best when we're playful and we're having fun and we're accessing our joy. But, we're sitting in traffic and we're frustrated. We don't access that joyous part of ourselves, which is where I believe all healing occurs.
It's really, really funny, though, because you're talking about that. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, this is just, I'm sitting here, I'm in my own veg state, thinking about this as you're saying it. And it is really, really funny because right now, if I went into a club and somebody said, hey, let's dance, I would probably look like Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. That's what I would look like. However, many years ago, when I was doing music and I was a lead singer and I was running all over stages and everything else and then dancing with a guitar around my neck, people said, "Hey, listen, you're a great dancer and that, and performer and this and that." And I was like, I couldn't figure out where it was. And you know what? What you just said just rang a bell in my head. It's because when I was on stage and I was doing what I was doing, I wasn't thinking about anything else but what I was doing.
Exactly.
I threw all the garbage out.
Well, what we have, and I really found this throughout my life, since about the age of 5, I kind of knew why I was here. I always knew that I was here to serve through my creativity. And so I've been an artist, I've definitely been a dancer, been an actress. But what I found is that, especially with the arts, especially with dance, is that we have pigeonholed that certain people can dance, certain people can do art, certain people can be actors, and you have to have the right body, you have to have the right this, the right that, and there's so much judgment that it doesn't allow people to experience this gift in the body, this creative gift of using the body as a creative vehicle. And so part of what I've done in Movement for the Mind is take the judgment out of it. It's not a performance. You get to experience it. You can experience it the first part with your eyes closed. You can do it yourself in your living room with a guided CD. You can do it in a room, but even in a room full of, when I used to do it at Stanford University in the MBA program, there were 50 to 75 people in the room, and we would start the whole process with the eyes closed. And so people got to trust that it's not about having 2 left feet or being a tin man. Everyone can move. I've even done this with people who are not mobile, but they still feel it. So if you have, we know scientifically that when people even have limbs amputated, they still feel their limbs energetically.
Yes.
So this is about the physical body as well as being in touch with the energetic body, with the energetic field. And we know about this. You and I, before, for a few minutes, talked about quantum physics, and that more and more we are now in the West, scientists are showing us that we are really vibrational beings. We are all connected through energy. And so this Movement for the Mind is as much about connecting to the energy within the body as it is allowing the body to utilize a creative vehicle to access your inner self.
Yeah, I'm not. I could be wrong in that, but I think it's around 528 hertz, somewhere around there. It actually vibrates you to the point that you will dance. Not if.
That's
you will.
Interesting. That I've never heard.
Yeah, there's certain vibrations in every single thing, every single piece of every single note that you play, depending upon what note it is, and each one of them make you feel, either sad or happy or whatever. If you're in the major notes, you're going to be happy. If you're in the minors, you're going to be not happy. It's just what turns on your mind by the actual frequencies that are played.
That's fantastic, because this whole discipline really incorporates the ability to, in this work, I've worked a lot with sexual assault survivors, whether it was child sexual abuse or it was those that experienced sexual assault later in life. And one of the things that is so important is to allow the body, to allow all of you to express feelings, even the feelings that are traumatic and negative. And once those feelings are expressed, then you can allow them to transform into what I believe our true nature is, which is joy and freedom. But for so many of us, we don't get to even feel those other components, and so they stay stuck in us. Whereas what you're talking about is a range of motion.
Right. Right, absolutely.
And as medical research expands, and as we start to see and incorporate things that in the East we've always known, that our bodies are channels for energy. And as we incorporate this, we're going to start to see the importance of different modalities to access feelings, to access our freedom, to access, and use our bodies as integrated vehicles. And so this is just one aspect, but I really do believe it has a place. And I don't know of any other form of movement that does this particular integrating.
Well, if you had, say, a whole class of people or a whole group of people or a whole room of people, Annette, would you,
100.
I mean, yeah, 100, a couple hundred, that's even better. I mean, I've had a few thousand that stood up just because they had to, because I said so. Everybody up. Yeah, no, I'm serious. Everybody up. And they did. But that's what you do. You learn how to do that. I mean, as a motivator, this is something that you do. You have to motivate people and I've said it on the radio, and people have written me emails and said they did it. I said, everybody that thinks I'm right, raise your hand. And they all did. And they can't even see me.
Well, there it is, that virtual reality where we can feel each other's raising our hands.
Exactly. But you see, that's community consciousness.
Yes.
Now you're going into the quantum part of it.
Right.
Yeah, so when you do something like that, and when you're talking about actually body and mind fitness, now when you put the two of them together, nobody understands what kind of a machine that is. That's the perfect machine.
You know what's perfect about it is when you also have the awareness of it. And we have, in the society, been so used to separating the two. We got the mind here, we got the body here, we got the soul here, we got the emotions there. But what if we bring them all together? And there's so much more power involved in that. There's so much more control that we're able to embody.
Do you ever notice that when the people that who you are talking to, do you ever notice how they came in and how they leave?
Oh, you mean when I'm after a session? Absolutely.
Yeah, you could be a fly on the wall net somewhere and watch everybody come in and see how they interact with each other and things like that, and kind of check them out a little bit. So you kind of sort of know what you're up against. And we used to do that too, and before they go on stage, we used to check out the crowd. But when you do something like that, then you watch how they left. Did you do your job, or did they listen to what you said?
Well, see, here's the difference, and why. The difference is that people experience it. And I remember I had a master in India that used to say all the time, don't just listen to my words. Don't believe me because of what I've said. Experience it for yourself and then create the conclusion. And so for me, what I love about all the work that I do is I act as a facilitator for them to experience the best of themselves. So I don't feel like I'm the one doing anything. All I'm doing is guiding. I'm allowing people. I'm creating a format for people to experience things within themselves that they may never have touched before. And that's my excitement, is to be a facilitator. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just giving them a format so that they can experience it for themselves. Not because I'm saying anything, but because they get firsthand experience.
Awesome. That's good stuff. And do you have a lot of people? I mean, do you have a lot of followers, in what you do?
I had a lot of followers in California, and I'm hoping to spread this work all over the globe because I think it's important. I
think it's something, yeah. This is, I've had a lot of guests on here and that, but not people that turned around and said, dance it off. That's only coming from me, but not coming from you, but that's literally, that's what it is. It's, there's so many things that you can do just by forgetting what's going on around you and concentrating on, it's kind of sort of yoga, right? You're actually mentally, physically concentrating on yourself.
You're exactly. And that's where it starts. Now, I have done this work with therapists. I've done it where I used to train therapists who were becoming marriage and family counselors, and we actually used this format where couples could work with each other nonverbally. Because I think in this society we tend to hide behind our words. That's why I said earlier that I give an experience. Less about my words, less about anybody's words. It's about understanding that the body doesn't lie. So it's very exciting to work with people who then work with each other nonverbally and communicate that way, because we do that all the time.
Sure. Absolutely. And when you're talking,
you've probably been around. You're hearing one word. You're hearing someone say, "Oh, I like you so much. I can't wait to see you." And then all of a sudden, your gut's going, "I don't saying."
Oh, that happens, though. You get that all the time. What I try to do is, like, if somebody is talking or somebody's saying something about something, it's usually like, okay, it's a compliment. Thank you. It's like in this ear, out that ear. But you appreciate all the people that are there, because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing unless they were supporting you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's half. I mean, the love that comes to you, even though you're giving it to them, is twofold.
Always.
And all it does, it's not only a motivator. It's like, it's like having a heart attack and getting a shot in the heart, and all of a sudden go, well, there it is. You just woke up. Hello. I mean, that's exactly what this is. I mean, what you're doing is you're teaching a wake-up call product.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to say it. And
yeah.
I like that is. And I think that's the greatest gift of being alive, is what are the ways we can wake up to a greater aspect of ourselves. And when we know that there isn't just this limited reality, but that we can expand our reality from inside out, then we have so many more choices, and we also can be so much more generous with others.
That is true. So, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break in it for a couple of minutes. Everybody just chill out, because there's a little surprise coming up in that a little bit halfway through the commercials and things. Everyone's listening. It's Thursday, so wake up. Not only that, it's WWW Kinetic Hi-Fi Radio plus Pyramid One Network on the Bob Charles Show. We will be right back.
What is the most important number in your life? It might be your personal credit score. It affects everything in your life. Do you know how to read a credit report? How can you fix something if you don't even know it's broken? TurnScore is your personal credit valet. Simple, safe, secure, and you can manage your personal credit profile from the privacy of your home or office. Take control of your credit score today at turnscore.com. That's TURNSCOR.com. TurnScore, changing lives one credit score at a time.
If you're a mortgage broker, a real estate professional, a car dealer, general manager, an insurance broker, or a company human resource manager, you can actually join this program and give credit repair away for free to people who can't do business with you because their credit is bad. Call Atlantic Repair LLC at 888-957-1118 to schedule a meeting with a representative today. Again, that number is 888-957-1118. We want to hear from you today. Hey, this is the Bob Charles Show. This is Bob Charles. Let me tell you about my sponsor. Flesh Bank is a leading national merchant service provider providing credit card processing and a host of other electronic payment solutions to businesses small and large in almost every market in America. Flesh Bank views our customers as partners and strives to provide the most competitive pricing and best support in the business. Now, How about a national company that can put your money in your bank in 12 hours? Yes, 12 hours from the settle. If you batch out your machine before 7 p.m., your money will be in your bank account at 6 o'clock the next morning. Here's the number to call and save money now and be able to use your money today. Call 888-957-1118 or 843-793-4292. It's your money. Use it. Plus, free quotes. What are you waiting for? Call the number. Oh yeah, let's dance. Oh, yeah. Nueva York. Buenos noches. Oh, yeah. Well, that was just for them. We have our special guest, Françoise. Sorry, I almost said it wrong. Netta. She's an author, an educator, conference presentator, magazine columnist, performer, and yoga, and for movement. The movement for the mind. This is something that anyone who wants to talk to the guest, call 843-793-4292. And if you're stuck to the chair, that's okay. Keep listening. Françoise.
Yes.
See, I got it right.
You got it perfectly.
I tell you, over here, we were dancing. Even my dog was turning around eating his bone faster. Yeah, I'm serious. See, that motivated.
My cat was dancing.
Yeah, yeah. I have no doubts that animals are really they're crazy. They will dance. Yeah, you remember Rockefeller that used to have his dog Fowler under the desk?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. Well, when he was president, and he always had the dog under the desk.
Roosevelt?
In the Oval Office.
Oval Office.
Now,
animals are so connected. I mean, they don't have a mind that says, no, I won't do this, I can't do that, I'm not good enough.
Right.
They don't hold on to anger, they don't hold on to resentment. They're always flowing.
Yeah, and mine just sits underneath here, and then he just looks up and he smiles. So that's what he does.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's enjoying himself. So he's probably in the back of his mind that he's saying, look at that guy talking, and I don't have to. I can just have my bone. Anyway, it's so much for animals. But I tell you something, they are a lot smarter than we are, let me tell you.
They're much more connected, as I said. They're connected. They don't have a mind that is constantly trying to interrupt or stop them from knowing or questioning that what they do know. They're very connected. They're connected to spirit way more than we are, at least consciously.
That's true. You have, let me see, you use your gift of insight and intuition coupled with compassion. This is something that we talk about a lot on the show, and that intuition. It's something it's a gut feeling that you can actually help people with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really in any profession, a helping profession, a healing profession service, if someone is not connected to their intuition, there's nothing going on. So that's one of the most important things, I think, for all of us, is to connect to that inner wisdom. So it's taken me many, many years to trust my wisdom, to trust my intuition, but that is probably my greatest skill, is to be able to impart that and then facilitate that for others.
Well, let's go back to the book, because really, you're going to have to come on the show again, and we're going to have to go over the book, because I know the book has got a lot of probably really, really, really good stuff inside of it. Now, I read a little bit about the book, but not enough to get my whole, thoughts in that about it. But let me ask you a question. And I don't ask many, many questions, but this is a biggie. What motivated you to write the book?
Oh, I was teaching at Stanford, and my mentor had written many, 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 many books, and I always knew that this needed to come out, and the best way to do that is to write a book. So it came from working with thousands of different people, hundreds of people privately, and knowing that the work had to get out there. So I've had a CD, which is the ability for people to do the work by just, putting in the CD, or actually I have an MP3 as well, so they can just there's music and it's guided, so all they have to do is literally do it in their living room or do it with a group. I have educators who do it with their class. They just plug in the CD or the MP3, but I also knew there was a lot of philosophy, there was a lot of theory that also needed to be expressed, and there were so many people that I worked with, and their story needed to be told as well.
That's the cool part about it too, Nate, because there's the intuition right there. Just to know that there's so many people that need this, so you have to do something to make them better.
Well, and I wouldn't use make them better, but to allow them to have a bigger choice. I always talk about this when I teach, is that there's so many paths, even to Mount Everest, to the highest summit, and there is never one path for everyone. So this path may not be for everyone, but it certainly could be for quite a lot more people than know about it. And what shakes one person's booty doesn't shake someone else's. But I absolutely know that this work can work for a lot of people.
Yeah, I always say to anybody that talks to me, they'll I get a lot of questions then about a lot of the shows that I do, and I always say to people, try it. You can only don't say you don't like it, whether you don't think that it's good for you, if you haven't tried it. Once you tried it, if it is no good for you, then okay, then it's no good for you, according to you.
Exactly. And there's no wrong in that. And thank goodness there's so many different methodologies for different people.
Oh, yes, there is. Boy, there is. Woo. We all have that. When you go into, all right, let's put this in another end too. Because we're also talking about a medical end to this too.
Yes.
And the medical end of it, what have you, how does this relate to what you're doing?
Well, some of the people I worked with, I've worked with psychiatrists, I've worked in medical facilities, and I've worked with chiropractors who used to send me their patients that they could not get any kind of shift in. They couldn't reduce their pain. They just threw up their arms and they went, okay, Françoise, you work with them. And so I worked with one woman. I've told this story before, but not on your show. She had suffered from fibromyalgia for about 10, 15 years, and she was actually the wife of a physician. And she had read about my book. She had read about my work. The book had not come out yet in the Bay Area. And she called me and she said, look, I love dancing, and I've been in pain for 10 years, and I'm all these meds. And she said, can I come in and have a private session with you? And I said, yes, of course. So in all of my sessions, what I do first in my private sessions is I talk to the person, and we kind of find out what is it they want to get out of the session. And so it was clear that this woman had suffered with nonstop pain for 10 years. And at that time, this was in the late 90s, there was not a lot of research about fibromyalgia. Pretty much doctors would say that it was all and because most of the sufferers were women, it was all in women's heads. It was psychosomatic, and they put them on pain meds, and basically there wasn't very much available for them. So during that session, I intuitively wanted to give her an experience of joy, of playfulness, of freedom, which she had not experienced. So I guided it through music and through my voice. I had her go through the whole beginning of breathing and the inventory, and then I used words like play and laughter and fun and joy, and she just moved for about 45 minutes this way, using those words to guide her. And so at the end of the session, I had her, reopen her eyes and back, and I asked her, how are you doing? And she goes, I feel fantastic. I don't have any pain in my body. And so I'll see you next week. Or I think she made an appointment for 2 weeks later.
Right.
And within about a week, she called me and she said, Françoise, I am completely pain-free, and I really don't need to come see you anymore, but please keep me on your list because I want to come to any workshop you're having, any seminar you're having. I'm in. And she says, this has been the most extraordinary experience I've ever had. And unfortunately at that time, I was not very diligent with emails and with keeping people on my mailing list. That's not been my best skill. And I did not hear from her again. So what I don't know is if her healing lasted or not. But here's the most important thing, is that her all spontaneous healings that we call spontaneous healings, I think, are because we access that place within us where all healing occurs.
That's true.
Other times I've worked with cancer survivors, and one of the things that I would do, I went into Kaiser again in the Bay Area, and I worked with a group of survivors of breast cancer, of different forms of cancer. Actually, there weren't just breast cancer survivors. And what I had them do, we have a tendency to, specifically with trauma, whether it's physical or emotional, we want to separate ourselves. We want to get it out of our bodies. We want to kill it. We want to have war with it. And what I have found is that when we approach things in that way, we tend to create more of it. Because when has war really ever created peace? It doesn't. We need to have peaceful thoughts to create more peace. So what I worked with these women and with this group, I think there were probably both men and women in this group, is that I had them work with cancer and to come into harmony with the trauma, the physical disease, and then to separate it out of their bodies so they weren't identified with it anymore, but they also weren't at war with it. And people had extraordinary experiences. So again, it's not about pushing things away. It's about embracing and at the same time then transforming what no longer works.
That's amazing. Have you worked with anybody that were connected with any of the military?
Yes. I worked at the Veterans Hospital in Menlo Park. They had also read an article about my work in the Bay Area and hired me to work with a couple of different factions, but one of them was working with women who had been assaulted in the military sexually at Desert Storm, and I worked with them phenomenally, and I was part of the staff for a short period of time. And this is a little comical. I mentioned this in the book. There was this psychiatrist who, after working with a couple of patients in the Veterans Hospital, said to me, Françoise, you're doing in 1 hour session what it takes us 2 years to accomplish in therapy. And I went, oh, thank you so much. And then I found out about a few days later that I was given my walking papers.
Oops. Yeah, well, that's because...
Yeah, we don't want to heal anybody too fast. We don't want to facilitate their healing because that might put psychiatrists out of a job. Yeah. Sorry, I don't believe I just said that on radio. But
No.
And I'm all for therapy, but, if something works, why not use it?
You know what? It's funny, though. You don't have to worry about saying that whatsoever. I've said worse. I mean, come on.
Well, I have a lot of friends that are therapists, and I've been a dance therapist. But again, it's about that. If we can facilitate a healing for people, in a short period of time, I think that's. And again, it's not me doing it to them; it's facilitating it, and I think that becomes such an important use of words, because we tend to look in the West, we tend to look at other people, whether it's the medical community or to heal us. And, it's difficult, but we have to learn to trust ourselves, because I know this in my own life, that when I heal, it's because I allow the healing from inside of myself to then manifest externally. And we're learning more and more about that. Now, might I need some facilitation from the outside in? Yeah, of course. We still are in physical bodies. We still need to feed our bodies and drink water and need other people. But more and more, I think we are paying attention to that extraordinary capacity within each of us, and to really touch upon that and to learn how to use the resource that starts on the inside and then integrate it externally.
Isn't it funny how many people turn around to you after you're finished talking to them and doing your session with them, and they turn around and they said, I never knew I could feel like this.
That's lovely.
I'm serious.
That's true for all of us, right?
Yeah.
When we find things that click or things that open us up, and that's why I do believe we don't live on islands, because some of us do live on islands, but we're all part of this, like you said in the very beginning of the show, of a community of humanity, and we need each other.
And that's something that we're really trying to get out there with the show, because there's so many things that wrong around our world, and we can all, if we connect each other to each other, we can do something about it. It's not an if. It's not an if. There is no ifs. It can be done. And I don't care whether it's government, whether it's a war, whether it's anything. As far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be any wars in that anyway. And if somebody doesn't like somebody or something like that, just punch them in the nose and get it over with. That's it. Don't make.
You're speaking like a good New Yorker there, Bob.
I'm serious. I mean, just belt them one in it and say, hey, look, cut it out, or get out of my face, or whatever it is, and then he goes away, and that's it. End of story, and that's it. You go back to being normal again. There's countries over there. Come on, from my heart. I mean, I can say this. There's countries over there where one guy with a dozen cousins and the cousins that have nephews that have uncles that have this and that are running countries, and they shouldn't be. Everything is ancient. It's based on ancient theories. People should all get together to help. There should be a UN that's run like a UN in every country, not just New York City. I mean, we're suckers. We get everybody to come over here and that to be nice, to have lunch, to have dinner, to go out to plays and all this stuff and that to wine and dine them and everything else. Now for them to go back to their own country and to just throw their people in their own country to the wolves. But that's something we do. Now, if they had to look at themselves on their own table and then go down the block to their little palace or whatever it was, and then go back and look those same people in the eye again, things would change. Because then they'd have to be accountable for what they are. That's what your work is actually doing for each person that actually does the work. Because they are accountable to one person, them.
Right, that's right. And people are afraid of that. But if we just take the time to look inside, there's such wealth within each of us. But it takes, like you're saying, even though I thought we started a different show here, but what you're saying is true. We do need to be accountable, and we can do it with joy.
That's right. And that's what you're starting. You are a spark to a forest fire.
Thank you.
So, no matter where it goes, no matter what it does, no matter what the instance happens to be, and that, whether it be your life or be it the world's life, it's something they can add. It's a plus, a big one. So that I definitely do believe in. No, hands down, forget about it. I'm there. Just to inform you, John Allen, who is in Australia, by the way, has links about you all over the chat box. So anybody that's out there that's listening and that, go into the chat box and take a look at the links, click on the links, and you'll find out about everything about the book, about Françoise. I'll get it right every time, I hope.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing great so far. Yeah, I'm kind of sort of like, I got to look at it because I phonetically spelled it on a piece of paper. It was like, hey, yeah, there it is. But
we could be speaking in French, and then you would be in trouble.
Yeah, well, man, I'm telling you, parlez-vous français. Yeah, I know it's not one of my better languages. But hey, I got through it, so it wasn't too. You get one of those little books in it. You have to read it. Everything is phonetic in the book. You'll get there. There's no big deal. So anyway, as I said, there's all kinds of links all over the place. Now I'll send you, or maybe John will make a copy. I'm not sure which one of us is going to do this, but I will also send you a copy of the chat box so that you have that. Anybody, any of your readers or anything else that want to see what went on through the show, this thing is full of information. It really, really is. John is unbelievable in that with the guests in that here, and he loves every one of the guests in that comes on. So this is the Australia talking to you.
Wonderful.
So when he posts things, Australia and New Zealand know about it.
Well, I'd love to do a workshop. If there's anybody out there listening, I would love to come and do a workshop, a training, and work with people who will be able to assimilate value.
They do that. If it was a little bit on the next time you're on the show, and I'll let John call in because John could actually tell you what they're doing down there.
I actually had someone write me from Australia and said that they were really looking for movement and dance therapy, but there wasn't anybody there doing it. So she ordered my book and my CD, and again, I need to be in touch with her. And I said, well, just, get a group together and I'll come out and I'll train people. Because I do believe that this work can be done. I work with educators. It can be done with children. It can be done in hospitals. It can be done in the form of fitness. It can be done with corporate executives to really access their creativity. It can be done with people who are so stressed and to release their stress. So there's so many different populations that people can work with who are already working in the field and can use this as another tool in their toolbox.
The word from the newsroom is, do you work with seniors?
I do.
You do? Okay. They're with you. Let's face it, none of us here are kids, it's,
we're all going to be seniors eventually.
Yeah.
and we're raising the bar on seniors, you know. On the one hand, you can get an ARP membership at 50, but on the other hand, we've got people like John Glenn, who I would hardly say is a senior, and he's in his 90s. He's extraordinary. So this work is really about promoting agelessness as well, because we're promoting that sense of integration of the body, of the mind, of spirit, and our emotions. What is, you know, that's agelessness.
Remember what I said in the very beginning, that mind over matter?
Yes.
Okay. There's John. John Glenn is mind over matter. He doesn't believe he's 92, even though the theoretical age is 92.
I think we're going to find more and more people modeling that. We've got some people in Hollywood that are beginning to do that. Yes, they've had some work done, but we're starting to see that. So in many ways, 50 is the new 30. So this work is definitely and I would say the older we get, the more that we're looking for that wisdom within ourselves. The more we realize that the intelligence is not happening out there; it has to be accessed in there. And the more that we know, and this is something very important for aging, that we must continue to move our bodies, because there's research now that one of the most important tools to stave off Alzheimer's is to continue moving. And I believe that you know, not only moving exercise, but when we incorporate creativity, when we incorporate that part of movement that is birthed in creative awareness, which is dance, then we've got the full package.
Oh, there you go. Well, it is the end of the show, but honest to God, as an honored guest, you must come back.
I would love to come back, Bob.
You must come back, and we are going to...
You want to let people know how to, or is this already on the chat room, how people can access?
It's all there, but go ahead, tell us.
Oh, all right. Well, they can go to the website, which is www.bodymindDynamics.org. And they can feel free to email me at fenetter@yahoo.com or Facebook me on Movement for the Mind. And
actually, what you really...
Netter, Netter, at yahoo.com, bodymindDynamics.org.
And everybody, go to her Facebook right now and click on liked. So get in there.
Movement for the Mind.
Go
yes.
like.
And they can get the book through the website, through Amazon, and I would love to hear from people, and especially those of you on the other side of the world in Australia, but love to hear from you for those of you here. And then I am doing trainings in Colorado and California and intro sessions. So anybody who's be interested in just coming to introductory session to experience the work, or would like me to go there, I definitely would love to do that.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much. That was Françoise Netter. And she will be back on the show again. This is WWW Kinetic Hi-Fi Radio. And while we're talking about that, I just wanted to add to this whole thing, don't forget, we're going into the weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow, the Bob Charles Show is 7 o'clock, same time. And then Sunday from 12 to 4 or 5 in that ballpark somewhere. So, anybody that's out there that wants to listen, you're invited. And you're invited to call. Don't forget, 843-793-4292. Now, let's just talk about some more stuff here. God, I love that song. Don't forget, it's our world. Let's start taking care of it. Now, you just heard a whole bunch of that about taking care of yourself. Don't forget, if you take care of yourself, you can take care of the world. It's all one package. It's time to think for yourself. Open your heart to reality and to all the misinformation you hear every day. Just say no. Time as we know it is changing. Change with time. Don't forget, you can write me or the show direct to the Bob Charles Show at live.com. Thank you to all the networks around the world that make this international show possible. There's Knock Hard Radio, New York's best internet channel. Bandit Radio FM, best in the West. Mix Network, mixing world energy all over the globe. Then there's WBAD.net. And listen to an awesome show on Sunday at WBAD.net. It's the Tom and Susie Show on Today Live on Sunday from 8 to 10. Don't forget, this is Pyramid One Network. Kinetic Hi-Fi Radio. The number one informative, educative community station heard global in over 103 countries and South Carolina. God bless y'all. Bob Charles. Out!